All right. Hi, everybody. Give everybody just a minute before we get started. You see attendance starting to rise. Hope everybody's having a good day. I promise I won't pause for long before we go ahead and jump in. All right. Let's go ahead. So, hi, everybody. We are back for round two. I appreciate everybody who has taken the time out of your day to join our session. Really excited to have the TrackForce team here again and be presenting our newly released integration with TrackTik. So my name is Erin Bullard. I am the Director of Partner Relations here at Immix. So I manage our technology integration partners. Some quick housekeeping before we get started. We will have Q&A at the end of this. There should be a place to submit your questions. We will answer what we're able to in the interim. If there's anything that we don't get to before the session is over, we will try and answer those through email as a follow-up. We will also have some poll questions that we'll be asking you guys throughout this. So we certainly appreciate your engagement and just please be sure to keep an eye and an ear out for those. Feel free to use the chat if there's anything that you would like to provide as far as feedback goes, or chat amongst yourselves. And then there is a handout that is available for you guys in the resource section. So you guys have that available to download for a little bit more information about the integration. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. Quick agenda of what we're going to cover. I will allow these folks on the call with me to give their intros. And then we're going to kind of talk a little bit about why we developed the integration, the operational challenge that we're trying to solve. We'll go through some of the benefits of it, kind of illustrate the workflow. But really, I want to make sure that you guys are able to see the integration itself and see the demo of it, both from the Immix side, which Jason will be giving, and then from the TrackTik side, which Moody will be giving. And then we will talk just briefly a little bit about some applications, some of the impact that we've seen thus far, and then we will open it up to the Q&A and any open discussion. So I'm going to actually let everybody give a little bit more background on what they do. I'll just give a quick run through of who we do have on the call from the TrackForce team. We have James Benham. He is the Chief Strategy and Growth Officer. I will say he's been really instrumental in the strategy of shaping the integration. And we also have Moody Taylor Klein. He is the Senior Solutions Architect. Again, a wealth of knowledge about the TrackTik solution. And he's been really hands-on with the validation process and some of the customers that we have who have been testing this. From the Immix side, we have Jason Caldwell, who is the director of Immix's GuardForce accounts, and then myself. And I'll kind of kick this off. So just a little context on my background. I was actually an Immix customer before I came to Immix, and I was actually Jason's customer. So I was with Securitas, and I was responsible for managing their remote guarding operations. So I've really had some good firsthand experience that I was able to leverage coming into this in my exposure to both Immix and TrackTik. So Jason, why don't you kick us off with just a quick overview of your role and maybe a little bit of how this integration has taken shape from your perspective.
Sure. So as Erin mentioned, I am the sales director for the Immix GuardForce division, which mainly consists of a customer base of physical guarding companies that also have a remote monitoring operation as part of their service portfolio. Also some systems integrators that have a more larger commercial enterprise clientele with more advanced systems, functioning in access control and VMS systems, and a little bit more deeper operational workflows. And then also private SOCs or command centers. So, private entities that have their own security operations centers that need the single pane of glass that Immix provides to bring in all their different disparate systems and the data and alarm and events from those systems. In my role over the years, particularly with the physical guard companies, they were looking for a way to really consolidate their operational reporting, the workflow from the technology side to the manned personnel side in the field, the two-way communications between the two, looking for tools to enhance those offerings. And that led us to TrackTik actually a few years ago. So this has been kind of a long time in the works, and we really sort of put it into overdrive here in the past year. And I think we've really built something that's very beneficial to the entire security ecosystem, both from the manned guarding side and the remote monitoring providers.
Perfect. Appreciate that. James, I'll let you go next.
Yeah, thanks everybody for joining today. Happy that everybody's able to kind of lean in and better understand this integration, but I'm the head of strategy and growth. So really what that means here is how do we think about working with our customers in terms of where they're really going, right? So helping integrate technologies, integrate the broader ecosystem. So working with partnerships, and obviously the genesis of this relationship came around customers really telling us, joint customers telling us around issues they have with respect to connecting these two capabilities together. And that's really what we're here to talk about today is how do we better connect those workflows to really improve response times and connect what we do really well, which is last mile response and helping manage guarding organizations into really the central station market, remote monitoring, and creating this construct of remote guarding. But we'll talk more about that today, but happy everyone can join.
Perfect. And
Moody.
last but not least, Moody.
So yes, for myself, I think one of the things that's really exciting is the ability to take advantage of the capabilities and robustness of TrackTik's report forms and analytics, and then combine that with the dynamic capabilities of Immix to be able to monitor and respond to multiple different types of events with some of the tools that they have. So looking forward to getting started and showing people why when you bring two best-of-class products together, we can definitely do big things.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. All right, so it does look like we've got a mix of people who joined us today. So I do want to quickly touch on Immix, what Immix is and what we do. So for anybody who is new to Immix, we are a software platform. We're built specifically for central stations and organizations that are looking to offer professional monitoring services. So that could mean anything from like alarm monitoring, video verification, interactive and remote guarding, but it also does get into more of those bespoke and specialized offerings like remote SOC as a service. So, kind of down at the core, Immix is, designed to bring everything together into a unified interface. So we serve as that single pane of glass where operators are able to manage anything that has that safety or security component to it, or compliance. I will add that in as well. And that consistency not only simplifies the operator's experience, but it also reduces any of the training involved, and really drives overall operational efficiency across, the various parts of your teams. So Immix really acts as the aggregator for disparate types of technologies. So we integrate with hundreds of different security products out there, which gives you the flexibility and the choice. Choice is a word you might hear frequently with Immix, to work with those systems and solutions that you really prefer without having to rip it out and replace it, and without requiring any sort of proprietary hardware. Although we are known for our strength in video, and that's kind of our bread and butter, we do extend beyond that. So we connect with systems like access control, like Jason was touching on, alarm receivers, lone worker tools, AI, and video analytics. Of course, those have been on the rise in the last few years. Automation platforms, and then higher level situational awareness tools, which is certainly relevant to what we are talking about today. So moving into kind of the operational challenge and why we designed this, I think, coming into the integration, a lot of organizations were expressing some of the same types of challenges, and it's one I certainly saw at Securitas, where the monitoring center and the dispatch team aren't necessarily always on the same page, and that incident information lives in different systems. So it's not always clear who owns which part of that workflow. And those types of disconnects, certainly create that friction and slow down the response. And those delays in getting somebody to the right place at the right time can certainly have large consequences. And when that information isn't flowing properly, both the people who are managing the incident, so those in the monitoring center and those that are reviewing it later, stakeholders, whether that's guarding, whether that is the customer, whether that's supervisors or dealers in the field who are kind of helping to promote monitoring services, they lose visibility and insight to the full picture of what happened. And so our goal with developing this integration was to bridge that divide and bridge that gap and align both of those parts of the team around the same workflow and having that one kind of single source of truth and one complete set of data. So in terms of, kind of how this has evolved and how we've gotten here over the years, as I'm sure everybody has seen, we've seen a shift in the landscape of how security services are delivered. And that certainly with things like AI continues to accelerate even more quickly. And, AI, video analytics, those types of things are being more ingrained in our everyday life. They're being more ingrained in the technology and systems and solutions that we're working with. And so while the traditional security relied on more of that physical presence, that manned guarding, we're seeing more hybrid services that are blending the on-site guarding with remote guarding, with monitoring services, with technology. And they're incorporating AI, they're incorporating more automation and more technology, certainly. So while those traditional services are definitely crucial and they remain necessary, it's really more about making sure that you're using them to your best advantage and you're using them in the most efficient way possible. Because the economics have certainly changed. As we know, labor costs have gone up and continue to rise. Turnover is something that is very difficult to manage, and margins are something that we really have to keep an eye out for. And all the while, customers are expecting that real-time visibility. They want unified reporting, and monitoring centers are basically always juggling multiple systems and manual workflows to try and make that happen. And so that's where, the integration really becomes critical, and connecting those workflows so that your teams stay better in sync and the data flow stays more consistent. So I believe that brings us to our first poll. We'd like to understand a little bit better how you guys currently coordinate between your monitoring center and any of the folks in the field. So if you guys can go ahead and respond to that. Give everybody a minute. All right, now I see some of them coming in. Just a minute more. It looks like a pretty even spread. All right, we can go ahead and wrap that. Thank you. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to James to provide a little more information on TrackForce and the TrackTik platform.
Great, thanks, Aaron. Yeah, so just a quick overview of TrackForce. So we're effectively the largest provider of security workforce management software. So what does that really mean? It really means we're covering sort of field operations. So how do guards get deployed in the field? How are we doing mobile operations in terms of mobile guarding? And then how do we connect that in through to the back office? So understanding time and labor management, scheduling, contracts and invoicing, calculating gross payroll, and then integration into ERP and human capital management solutions. So really an end-to-end platform for guarding companies. And we do work a little bit in corporate security as well with guard operations. And so really, we're here to really help drive the last mile response. So when an event occurs, which is potentially an incident, a lot of that information is captured upstream through platforms like Immix, but how do we get that connected to the individual who can drive that intervention or response in the field in the least amount of time? And that's really why we do it, right? How do we actually improve safety and help deliver that experience for guarding companies and ultimately through to corporates? If you go to the next slide, just give you a view of kind of how we're covering. So across global languages. So we operate globally, 50 countries around the world, 56 languages on a purely cloud-based platform. So therefore, the uptime and the reliability is there, and then covering, over, 200,000 sites. I would say that number is much further north of that number, but effectively you'll see kind of the kinds of customers that we serve across the platform, which are also the kinds of customers that Immix serves as well. So great sort of synergy here with respect to the capabilities that TrackForce brings and obviously the capabilities that Immix brings. So the next slide will just be a quick overview of the sort of the details. And so I said we help drive security operations. So how do you do site-based or static guarding, guard tours, assets, asset management, visitor management, all of the pieces that come with site-based activities. We're also serving mobile patrol forces. So how do you actually deliver run sheets? How do you hit multiple sites through a mobile patrol service? And then how do you bill against a contract? So we have a construct of a contract, so you can actually bill for those services and invoice for those and calculate pay. So billing and pay is sort of what we do in the back office in addition to scheduling. And then the underpinning of the platform is really built on top of APIs, which is what we're leveraging in this integration, open APIs, and the ability to sort of replicate and drive data warehouse integrations from a tooling perspective. So you're able to unlock kind of the platform and leverage the data across other systems as well and do other integrations. The one piece I'll add is just when we think about reporting and invoicing for services, now I think with Immix, we're really able to integrate the data and the reporting, but also the invoicing for remote monitoring services during off hours, remote guarding, as well as mobile guarding, as well as static guarding and ad hoc services, all on one integrated solution. And so what does that mean? So that was sort of what I was alluding to, really kind of from an operational perspective. It's how do you improve the coordination between teams? So if you have operators who are monitoring, video analytics teams that are monitoring cameras, typically running on the Immix platform, how do you get them to better integrate more tightly with the dispatch team and the dispatch organization, which is where the TrackTik Command Center comes in? We typically call that swivel chair economics, right? You're entering data in one system and then standing up and yelling at someone across a SOC or typing that data again into another system. And all of that creates latency in response time, right? So this is kind of where a streamlined dispatch workflow and integrated reporting comes in. And it's all integrated into this kind of single pane of glass that Immix provides upstream and what TrackTik is providing downstream with respect to dispatch. So integrated reporting and improved compliance in terms of the Immix, SOPs that are integrated into the system, auditability of all of those events flowing all the way through into the TrackTik reporting capabilities, visibility across lines of service, so different lines of service can be billed and managed independently, and then driving a much more integrated user experience for not only management, but individual operators and dispatchers. And we'll talk more about what that really looks like when we get into the demo, but back to you, Erin.
Perfect, thank you. One of the benefits that we all certainly care about is the cost savings and the ROI that the integration is going to offer. So in order to do that, just want to touch on the human cost that it is involved when you have to do all of these things manually. So from a financial standpoint, the manual processes directly translate to wasted resources when the systems aren't connected. I think we see somewhere between 20 to 30% of time that would be wasted on re-entering data, chasing updates, things like that. Not to mention like false dispatches, missed reports, incomplete information as well. And those things don't just waste time, but they also create things like risk, and they certainly erode the customer's confidence in the services. So for example, when there are delays in information between the monitoring center and the field teams, you get those slower response times, and sometimes that's minutes, sometimes that's, lots of minutes. And that adds up, especially in, a life safety type of situation where those minutes matter and every second really matters. So all of that really adds up to lack of visibility, lack of trust, and stakeholders not being able to see the full picture or that full life cycle of the event, what happened, who responded and how quickly it was resolved, which makes it a lot more difficult to measure the performance of these things and identify where you might have bottlenecks and opportunities for improvements. So, there's certainly a clear ROI here and, a cost opportunity if you're not looking at incorporating some of these things to automate these processes. So just wanted to touch on this briefly. Moving into a little bit more of how this actually works. I just want to make sure that we can get to the actual demo, but I want to, high level touch on the workflow to kind of set the tone as we go into this. Everything starts in Immix. So, an event, whether that is an alarm, an analytic, coming from a video analytic trigger, or, let's say a scheduled patrol that comes into the platform, it's picked up by the operator. If they determine that a response is needed based on the SOPs, they can initiate that dispatch directly from Immix. And then from there, the integration really kind of takes over a bit. So instead of having to call, instead of having to email and retyping or copying and pasting that information into a separate system, we automatically pass that information with the relevant event details and what the operator can select or what is pre-configured into TrackTik. You can also set like a priority level, you can attach certain images, you can add different notes. And then on the TrackTik side, the assigned guard or the responder, depending on the type of event, we'll touch on those applications at the end, they receive that dispatch instantly on their mobile device. And they're able to review the event details and they can see, they can see those images that the operator populated in there, any of the notes. They can acknowledge some of that in real time. And then as they respond and as they're updating this information and adding that back in, without having to call the monitoring center, all of that kind of feeds back in and the operator has visibility into that because that information is synced. So they're really able to see that progress and the real-time status of whether it's been completed, whether they're on site or whether they're still kind of waiting for that dispatch to be completed. And then I think something that I do want to make I do want to highlight, I'll put it that way. Operators have the ability to what we call append additional data from the current event in the same report. So it finally allows you to stitch together kind of the full incident of, you know, something that might take place across multiple Immix events. And what I mean by this is, you know, a report from TrackTik might have information that is contributed from multiple Immix events. And in Immix, you know, you're not really able to reopen that event and contribute more. So what you're able to do is then have the operator follow their standard workflow, and they're able to continue to, you know, with their standard training, contribute more information into this report. And from the end user standpoint, it's still just one incident. So this is something that removes a limitation that we've seen in the past, and is something that's pretty unique here. And then beyond the dispatch workflow, the integration also standardizes these incident categories and data inside TrackTik. So that's information that feeds into their data lab. So you can visualize those trends and you can see a little bit more as far as the insights. And then because everything is connected, like James was touching on, you can leverage their integrated billing and their invoicing, so you can see that clear breakdown of the different services that are being offered, without having to manually go back and reconcile that. So I think that leads us to our second poll question. So if you guys can give us some insight into where you guys feel your operation would benefit the most from this kind of integration. Give guys a couple minutes. Pretty even so far. It's fun to see these numbers fluctuate just a little bit. We can give that just another second or two. Looks like those are staying pretty steady. We can go ahead and wrap that. Thank you. All right, so I think this takes us into our demo. So I am going to pass this over to Jason. And let me make you a presenter.
All right, are you seeing my screen?
Not yet.
Let's try this again. How about now? Okay, all right, great. So I know that we do have some Immix customers on the webinar, and we have some that are not Immix customers. So for those of you that are well familiar with Immix, please just bear with me. I'm going to go through a demo of the platform. And for those of you that are not, this is really for your benefit to get to see what Immix brings to the table. So what you're looking at here is essentially where a SOC operator or agent lives and breathes. This is the Immix alarms page. Now you'll see that it is a browser-based page. Everything in Immix is browser-based. It does need to run on servers that can be physical servers at your location. It could also be 100% cloud hosted in a data center of your choosing. So very flexible as in terms of the actual infrastructure. What you're looking at here is the Immix alarms page. So I've got an alarm queue at the top where alarms come in. I've got a patrols queue here in the center where patrols would come in. Patrols in Immix is instead of a physical guard, walking the site, patrolling the site in a vehicle, the patrol is going to populate, and you will use the cameras to perform that patrol. And you'll be looking for, obviously any security threats, but also perhaps any compliance or quality assurance things like, are gates closed and locked? Are there illegally parked vehicles? Are there hazardous materials that are not properly stored? Things of that nature. You're seeing our dark theme So it's a black and gray theme. We also have a light theme, which is a white and gray theme. Depending on the environment that you're using Immix in, we found the dark theme is a little less straining on the eyes for a lot of users. So we created the dark theme probably about 10 years ago. You'll notice the red flashing. That's just indicating that I have events in the queue. I've got an alarm there and a patrol there. What you're not hearing is a very loud and annoying beeping sound that you can turn off. And most of our centers do keep it turned off. But we do have customers that are sort of smaller operations. It might just be one guard in a room who has a myriad of duties that they need to perform, and they might not be in front of the screen at all times. And that audible beeping would alert them to the presence of an event that would require their attention. So what I can do here is to process this alarm is if you go over here and click process alarm, it'll open it up. If you've got multiple alarms in the queue, it's going to take the alarm at the top of the queue. And alarms are queued based on A, the time they come in, and B, the priority given to the alarm. So if you see this priority number here with a priority of 500, you can create different priority numbers. The higher the priority, the alarm will jump higher into the queue. So those priorities are determined, by the monitoring center when they set up the site based on agreed upon SLAs, with the particular customer in question. You can also click on any alarm in the queue. So if I had some alarms stacked up in here and I did not want to take the one at the top, you can simply click on the alarm you want to take, and it will open up that particular alarm. So you'll see this is giving me information, it's telling me the location of the alarm, what the event type is, that it is a person scene, which is a very common alarm for Immix. Most of our customers, probably about 75 to 80% of our customers, a core part of their business is using those camera systems as the trigger, as essentially the alarm system itself, using video analytics, using video AI to detect specific objects, behaviors, patterns of movement, things of that nature, and to eliminate and reduce the number of false and nuisance alarms. So I'm going to go ahead and open up this alarm, which will pull up what we call, and I apologize, my internet seems to be moving a little slow, but this pulls up what we call the Immix Site Monitor. And what I always like to note first about this page is this is that single pane of glass that we talk about. When we talk about Immix being able to bring everything into a single pane of glass, this is the only interface that an operator using Immix would need to learn. So it doesn't matter what type of VMS or NVR or access control system or alarm system or audio devices or relay devices you have at a given client location. They're only going to see this interface for everything, every event, whether it's an alarm event, whether it's a patrol event. So they're going to know exactly where to navigate, where to type, where to click. And that's just going to create a lot of confidence, speed of response, expediency, and hopefully create better security outcomes. So just kind of going through this page, sort of top to bottom and left to right, if you will, you'll notice it's obviously dominated by two video images. The image on the left is what we call the audit footage, and that's typically about a 10 to 15 second pre and post alarm clip of the event that triggered the alarm. And you see the red boxes appearing around the man as he exits the building. Those red boxes are video analytics positively detecting human movement where there shouldn't be. The image on the right is a live shot into that same camera. And yes, it's the same image on both sides. This is all just canned recorded footage in my demo. But with either one of these images, you can blow it up into its own window. So if you wanted to get a larger look here at the recorded clip, there's a couple of tools down here I like to point out. There is a camera icon where you could take a snapshot. So maybe I want to take a snapshot of the guy so that I can send that to the responding officer. Or you can also download the full video clip if you want to download the entire 10-second clip and send that off. You have that option as well. On the live side, on the right, you can expand this into its own window as well. And you do have that option to take a snapshot. You can't download the clip because this isn't a recorded clip. This is actually live footage, but it does give you some PTZ varifocal capability where you can move the camera around. Maybe I want to get a larger look at how he is dressed, what he is carrying, so that I can pass along better information to my responders. Clicking out of there, here in the center, these are all the different devices that I can connect to. So if I want to look at different cameras, then I can simply click on a particular camera name and it will take me to that specific camera view. If I had audio devices, things like two-way intercoms or loudspeakers, where maybe I want to make a voice down command telling somebody that you're in a restricted area, you need to vacate the premises immediately, security's been notified and is en route. Or maybe it's an intercom where, maybe it's like a gated community, or it's a door, an intercom at a door where you're engaging in two-way conversation with somebody to try and determine if you should be able to grant them access to the building. And if so, to grant them access, you could come here to the Relays tab where you can connect to a myriad of devices. So here is a way to pulse open a door, turn on lights for somebody. You could hit a strobe, sound a siren, anything you can get a relay connection to. It's a simple mouse click to activate that relay. You can also pre-configure tours of specific groups of cameras. So if you wanted to quickly cycle through your internal cameras, you can click on that and the tour will begin cycling through those particular cameras. And you can set the duration of each view when you configure that tour. So is it 5 seconds per camera? Is it 10? Whatever the case may be. Looking in the top right, I won't go through all of these, but a few that need attention is multi-view. So obviously I've shown you where you can toggle one camera at a time. We obviously also give you the ability to view multiple cameras at once. I only have 6 cameras configured for this site, so it's showing you all 6 here. If there were more, there is a little next button here that I'm hovering over. You see a red circle with an arrow through it, a line through it. You just click next, it would bring you to your next grouping of cameras. Now, you can configure a specific number of cameras in each multi-view. I think the maximum is 32. You obviously are going to want to consider the size of your monitor to determine the number of views you want to have in a particular multi-view. Most of our customers tend to come somewhere between the 4 cameras and 12 cameras per view seems to be the most common. But within any one of these views, you do have that ability to take a snapshot, pan the camera around. You could, if you wanted to send an event to Site Monitor, or if you wanted to send it to a video wall, or you want to pop any one of these cameras out for a larger view, you do have that capability from the multi-view. Also, the Details tab here. This is where you can include all the general information about the site. So the address, the phone number, what's the police department dispatch number, the fire department. This blank black space you're seeing here, you can really put any kind of content that you want. If you want to put general site protocols, general contact information. What a lot of people use it for is to include URLs or hyperlinks to things like employee databases or contractor or vendor databases, delivery schedules, things like that, so they can quickly get to another system, so to speak, where they might have data on who's authorized to be at the site and who's not. You can also look at the tabs within here to populate your key holder call list. You can bring in site staff complete with photographs, contact informations, even passwords that you can validate with a simple mouse click. So if this Shane Jones were to call the monitoring center and say, I'm an employee at ABC, I'm coming on site, please don't send security on me, my password is Geronimo. I could type in Geronimo here and click validate, and it will tell me if that is in fact a valid password. The maintainer would be, who is the systems integrator in charge of the equipment on site. So if there is, a camera down or an alarm point going into runaway mode, a door reader not working, something, who do we contact to get a service call generated? And then finally, the arming schedule simply tells you when the site is armed to send alarms into Immix. Doesn't have anything to do with the physical state of the equipment at the site. It doesn't mean the camera system is not recording or the access control system is not logging door events. It just means, hey, we're sending alarms to the monitoring center via Immix during this time and not during this time. Now you'll notice another button here that says close event, it's grayed out to me. I can't close the event. Why not? Well, it's because there is a specific script associated with this event that I have to follow. And if you look at the bottom half of the screen, you will see that the scripts tab automatically opened up. So a script is a specific set of actions that the operator must perform before they can close an event out. So it's very simple to follow a script. It goes from the bottom up. So there's a couple of steps listed here. One is telling me to view a camera. Well, if you remember, that was the camera that went into alarm. So that camera automatically populated. So that script step sort of took care of itself. It's asking me next to view a separate camera. All I have to do is click on the script step, and you'll see that camera on the right-hand side change. It's asking me to view yet another camera, and you'll see that camera again change. Now it's asking me a yes/no question. Is there an intruder seen? So we're starting to create some if-then scenarios. So I say yes. It gives me a name, a couple of phone numbers. I say I call, I don't get an answer. Boom, it gives me a second name, couple of phone numbers. So on and so forth until I reach somebody and get instructions on how to escalate or de-escalate this particular event. So let's say they want, hey, we want you to dispatch security and send them a report. Before I do that, I'll show you a few other things here. We give you the ability to create maps for any of your sites. So you can create different layers of the map. So here's an external layer, here's a floor plan. These buttons indicate little icons that you can click on to see that particular camera view. And then I want to show you current events because we're going to be talking about Immix audit data. And this is exactly where that lives. So what I'm showing you here, and I'm going to scroll down to the bottom, but this is every mouse click, every keystroke, and all multimedia viewed and conducted by the operator in response to this event. So it shows when the alarm was generated, when it was picked up, and all of these different actions the operator performed, viewing all these different cameras, hitting the audio, hitting the relays, starting the tour, stopping the tour, opening and closing the multi-view, looking at the details, completing all the script steps, making the phone calls, all the way to where we are right now, which is viewing this camera. If you wanted to see what an operator viewed when they saw any one of these cameras, you simply click. If you see a red camera over here, you can click on that, and it'll take you to exactly what they saw when they viewed that particular camera. So this is all part of the audit trail that you can then append to a report in TrackTik so that all of this information and data is found in one location. Now we're going to go over to the TrackTik portal, or to the Immix side of the TrackTik integration, I should say, and it lives here in the Extensions tab. So this Extensions tab is designed to be able to connect Immix to other third-party systems for various functionality. And so I come into my Extensions tab. I've got a couple of options in here. I want to go to TrackTik. And so here what I want to do is I want to go ahead and maximize this so that I have a better view of what I'm doing. And I want to dispatch. So I know I want to create a dispatch. That's the instructions that I've been given. So I'm going to create a dispatch. And we're going to give it a task type. So we'll say this is a remote call out. So we're dispatching a guard, and we're going to give instructions. So, you know, suspect in front lot. You know, you might want to type in more detail than that, but in the sake of time, we'll keep it simple. And then we're going to say we're going to included is going to be the Immix audit data. There's other optional report fields that you can put here if there was a URL that you wanted to include for maybe video outside of Immix, or any type of narrative that you want to convey here. So we will just say, you know, test narrative and next. So this is just telling me everything that I've provided so far. Do I want to create the dispatch? Yes, I do. I'm going to create a new dispatch here. Now the dispatch has been created. So now there is data going into the TrackTik portal, but I want to add information to it. I want to give those responders more information so that we can create a better security outcome. So what we're going to do is we're going to come down here. We'll select an incident category. So, you know, you can select, you know, whatever you might want to. The Immix audit data we're going to include in just a second here. We have some test fields if I needed a URL. If I want to take snapshots, so let's say I want to take a snapshot from the audit player and click continue. And then maybe I want to take another snapshot from the live video and continue. And maybe I want to add yet another image. Maybe I want to come here to the live player, remaximize and get a third image in there. And we'll do that from the live player as well. Okay, and now I want to come up, save my changes. Now I want to add the Immix audit data. So here we'll just say audit data, all field types, select all. Remember, that's the audit trail that I showed you in Immix, and here it is. And I'm going to append the report with all of that, save those changes. And now we have a much more complete report that is going in. Now, if I go back, and I can minimize, I have not closed this event out in Immix, and even after I close it out, I can always come back into the site, and I can come right back in here and continue to add particular notes to an event. So if I were to come in here, and I'll show you this as we move along, but I can scroll all the way down, and there should be some optional, hang on. I might be in the wrong page. Yes, I am. It's here, and I can come down here, and I can add a note. So I can continue adding notes, and when Moody is showing you the TrackTik side, he will be able to show you these notes coming in. So we will say here, suspect now on south side of building. And I'll submit that note, and I'm just going to keep this available for me as I turn this over to Moody so that I can show you in real time as the operator maybe continues to monitor the event. They can continue adding information, again, all with the goal of creating the best possible security outcome. So with that, I will stop sharing and turn it over to Moody.
Let me make you the presenter.
Great. Does everyone can hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. Awesome. So yeah, so for those not familiar with TrackForce, this is our newest and latest and greatest development where we've enhanced our dispatching to create what we refer to as the command center. So all dispatching and all patrols can be monitored through this. So as Jason did so rightly 2 minutes ago, is he created a dispatch from an Immix event, which has come into the system, and that clearly comes in into our command center, where you now have a robust view of all of the activities and details. Some of the actual reporting data that the assigned person to do that can be viewed in here. So all those images and all those elements can be seen here along with the narrative and information in detail. Like Jason mentioned, any activities or notes that are put in along an Immix are being fed into the system in real time. So you can have that connectivity between the users that are working within Immix and those that are monitoring and obviously assigning individuals to the dispatch from the TrackForce Command Center. One of the advantages of having a robust system for workforce management, as James pointed out, is that you do have the flexibility to be able to see those individuals in real time and their location and their availability to be able to respond. So just by selecting those users and adding them immediately, those users now can be in the system set up to go and be able to respond to the actual alarm with those specific details that are now assigned within the actual, within the actual application. Some of the other advantages of the command center view from here is being able to have access to most of the metadata that's around what's happening in Immix, so the audit data as well as the images. As well, to give more of a visualization, which is one of the improvements the command center offers, is to have an overall map view. So this overall map view can be a little bit more specific so that you can take advantage of a larger screen size and be able to drill down closely to exactly where that alarm is and any of the details related to that alarm with the associated SLA and the assigned individual. So what we're doing right now is giving a greater flexibility of usage and also a greater flexibility of monitoring, not only for the officers that are in the field, but also for the camera systems that are overseeing the properties and detail. And flipping back from our command center to our overall administrative portal, we're able to see from this quick tab all the same general activity that TrackTik still offers, which means that the available view of officers that are in the field, the different tasks and events and details that have been carried out for that individual, and also the ability to quickly view some of the main details of the alarm, as well as the metadata that goes along with it. So these advantages of our reporting capabilities gives a high level amount of flexibility, and at the same time, a high level view of the actions that were taken, all the way down to any of the dispatching stages and statuses that go along with the reports as they're being completed. For any of the other sort of daily usage for the TrackTik portal, this also includes some of the elements around how do you validate that some of these activities have been taking place. And that goes along with having the capabilities of our other elements in the system, such as our back office function around the billing elements. We understand clearly for Immix's capabilities to monitor multiple cameras and multiple systems. So from a billing standpoint, for any responses connecting to our system, you're able to have a more clear-eyed visibility on the invoicing capabilities whenever those responses are carried out. So all of that power and all of that activity that happens on the Immix side can translate seamlessly into TrackTik, so you can have one seamless flow from the notification and event all the way to the response and closure. Just going back to the command center view, one of the things that's important to consider with the command center to iterate further from some of the reports that are coming in is the flexibility that while we can close the dispatches from here, we still have the meta and also analytic data to be stored in the system for further reporting. That same information is still available within Immix, so you have from both sides the same level of detail and information that's being carried out and being processed within both systems. So that includes the timestamp, that includes the incident type, and that also will include any of the logs that have taken place as far as the activities from each one. Great. So I'll just kick it back to you, Aaron, if anybody has any questions around both systems or more details required of this great integration.
Thank you, Moody. Appreciate it. All right, I'm going to take back over as presenter, and I know we've only got 7-ish minutes left, so we'll kind of run through these quickly. Again, feel free to pop some questions into that section if you do have any in the meantime. All right, so we'll just kind of breeze through this. Just wanted to let you guys know we do have somebody who has been an early adopter who's provided a little bit of feedback. So we have Lewis from Olivier, who's participated in some of the beta testing. We do have a couple other customers that have also implemented the integration so far. But Lewis has shared that it's certainly something they feel is going to help reduce their response times overall and improve some of their accuracy of their reporting and deliver better transparency to their clients, especially where they do have some of that blend of services. In terms of some of the applications, there's a ton of applications where this is going to offer a lot of value for you guys, both operationally and commercially. I think the clearest, probably most straightforward example is through the dispatch of guards, like we've touched on, whether those are on-site or mobile. So for on-site, I think, thinking about large sites, whether that's like a manufacturing logistics facility or like a large multi-story commercial property. Those are, I think, a couple where you might have a guard that is on the site, but they might have a primary post and their responsibilities are kind of siloed there. And they might be further away from where you've got that alarm trigger, where they might have to go and be dispatched and respond to. So whether you offer guarding services or not yourself, you can certainly tap into that resource by deploying TrackTik and by using the integration to communicate with them and dispatch that guard as incidents come up. When there's a smaller site that might have something like mobile response or mobile security patrols or inspections, that's certainly a great example of, or a great application for using this. And I think a good example of that, Jason, I think you may have touched on it earlier, is, you know, an HOA or a gated facility. So pool area after hours, teenagers love to go for that midnight swim and break the rules. And so there's a lot of liability, a lot of risk associated with that. Might not necessarily need to dispatch police for that. If you've got security available, you can have mobile dispatch there. And that's a pretty easy win with a lot of value associated with it. And then in terms of kind of the service maintenance aspect of this, great application here. So we recently launched our visual camera health solution with our partner Actuate. So think of it as a kind of operational insurance policy. And that allows you to proactively check that the cameras are working, that they're functional. So when they are, let's say, called to duty for the operator to pull them up in Immix, you want to make sure that they are looking at what they need to be looking at. So let's say that you do find that one of the cameras has been misdirected and is not looking at what it's supposed to be looking at, and that intended field of view has shifted. So you can leverage TrackTik, help alert the team that is responsible for maintaining the system, and then you have visibility to when the service tech is on site, if the issue has been resolved, and that just creates a lot greater transparency and coordination for those types of situations. So I think one of the things I touched on that we heard prior to developing the integration was that there was that gap in services for end users that were looking as kind of, TrackTik as their security lens and physical security, and looking at their incident reports and their daily activity reports. And they weren't seeing anything for their overnight shifts. And so there seemed to be that, hey, is anything happening overnight? Are you providing this service? And so this helps to make sure that you've got visibility to that and you can capture all that data. So anything to add, you guys? I know we are kind of right up against time. And thank you. I did miss that last poll question. So if you guys can jump in and let us know what benefit from today's session you do feel would kind of value your end customer the most. So got a mix between those two. And we are light on questions, but anything that we're unable to get to, we certainly will respond in our email. It looks like we may have a question in terms of kind of the enablement for getting started with this. So if you are looking to get up and running, certainly suggest reaching out to, if you're an Immix customer, reach out to your Immix sales director, your account director. You can certainly contact either of these email addresses. Contact the TrackForce team directly if you're a TrackForce customer or a TrackTik customer to get up and going there. But we can certainly help to get the implementation process started. And I think with that, we are kind of at time. I just want to say a huge thank you to the TrackForce team. Really appreciate all of your time. And James, I know you are joining a little bit later from your time zone. So yes, there will be a recording of today's demo, and it will be sent out. I believe it should send out automatically tomorrow, but we will also be uploading it to our website and to our YouTube channel in the next week. All right. Well, I appreciate everybody's time and thank you. With that, we will go ahead and wrap up.
Thanks, everyone. All right.